all about the new security features in SQL Server 2025 and how a lot of times you're just getting more secure by default without even having to do a thing. This week on Data Exposed. Hi, my name is Anna Hoffman, and welcome to this episode of Data Exposed. Today, we're continuing our series of what's new in SQL Server 2025, and today we're going to be talking about security. Really big, of course, obviously, for SQL Server 2025 is we want to help you be secure by default. And so today, we're going to talk about the three big areas that we're investing in the security space that you need to know about for SQL Server 2025. And to do that, I brought along two of the product managers from the security team working on SQL Server 2025, Peter and Pratim. Thanks so much for joining us on the show. We're going to get right into it because we got a packed show, and we're going to talk about some of the intra-auth updates. So for that, I'm going to pass to you, Pratim.
Hey, happy to be here. Quick intro, I'm Pratim Dasgupta, and I'm a product manager on the SQL identity and authentication team. And I'm excited to share you on the latest Entra improvements that we have for SQL Server 2025. So a bit background, as of today, we do have Entra setup for SQL Server 2022 on Arc, but those are credential-based certificate setup that you do using app registration, and you can only enable users and logins, logging into SQL 2022 on Arc, of course. Now, with 2025, the biggest improvement that we have brought in is all these connections could be enabled credential-free. And not only inbound, in fact, you can do outbound connections from SQL Server going to various Azure resources. So as you can see in your screen, we have categorized communications in two categories. One is coming into SQL Server, which are inbound, which you're already familiar with, like you and me logging into SQLs. And we do that by creating users and logins, right? And now, additionally, you can have outbound connections to SQL, like to Azure Storage and Key Vault and some REST calls, credential-free using primary managed identity. Okay. So to enable all these connections in 2025, the addition is you enable a primary managed identity, and that primary managed identity was always there. As soon as you Arc enable your Windows machine, that identity is registered in your Entra Blade. And now we have that feature for SQL to make use of it. And to use that, you can use these T-SQLs that are showing up in your screen. For inbound, these are always there. The syntax were always there. You use create users or create login using external providers. That gives you the facility to log in using SSMS or whatever you feel like to connect to SQL, right? And for the second category, which is the outbound connection, you can use a create credential. Again, this T-SQL is not new, but you can now use it. Transparently, the identity is created. You don't have to do anything for that. You just have to go to Azure Blade and provide the normal RBAC that you usually do for resources, and you should be good. That's the short, concise updates.
Awesome. It was great to see these updates. I know one question folks might have is when it comes to these new security features coming to 2025, are they going to get these capabilities for Intra also in, previous versions or earlier versions of SQL Server?
Yeah, unfortunately, no. You will not getting. We are not backporting to SQL 2022. But good news is, if you are a VM customer, like if you are running your SQL Server 2022 on Azure VMs, you already have these baked in. So these are pretty new for on-prem customers. And unfortunately, no, they're not backported to on-prem SQL 2022.
Got it. Good to know. Good to know.
Yeah.
All right, moving right along. What is next?
Yeah, quickly I'll summarize that as of the preview builds, it could be a little bit involved with the registry setups, the prereq setups, but as we go forward, it will be Azure driven and the extension driven, so it'll be pretty seamless as we go GA. So stay tuned. We'll come back with more updates and demos.
Awesome. Great. Thanks so much, Pratim. All right, Peter, I know we have some updates in the crypto space. So what's going on there?
Yeah, that's right. I'm just going to mention a couple of crypto updates. We have a bunch more, but I just wanted to point out the most important ones. And the first one is called PVKDF for password hashes is on by default. What's in the name, right, Anna? But what what do I mean by
Yeah, it
PBKDF?
really rolls off the tongue for sure.
Yeah, exactly. So in the beginning of SQL 2012, when we store passwords in SQL Server, we're storing them with the SHA-512 hash, and we're combining them that with a 32-bit random and unique salt. So this literally made it almost impossible for hackers to fetch the passwords right inside the database. Now, in SQL 2025, what we've done is we're still using that SHA-512 hash, but instead of hashing it one time, we're hashing it with an iteration of 100 times. And for that, we're using a new algorithm, which is the RFC 2898, also often called the password-based key derivation function, or the PBKDF, right? So we're using a stronger and better way to store passwords. I just want to stress here that the current way that we store passwords is not insecure, so we not at all. But we had a request from our financial customers that they wanted to have this stronger way of storing passwords. So we listened to our customers and we made this available so that they can be compliant, their security compliance here.
Awesome. That's great. I mean, just seems like you're getting more and more secure without needing to know. And yeah,
Yep.
exactly. This question. So I have two questions for you. One is like if I'm using like an older version and then I start using a new version, which algorithm am I using? And the second thing, which may be the more important for people who are not security experts like me, is like how does this impact my day to day using SQL Server, regardless of which version?
Right. Well, the first thing, if you just create a new user in SQL 2025 login, you will notice that the first byte of the algorithm is the of the encryption is the version, right? So 03 is a new version. If you still see 02, then it's still the old version that is being used. So if you, for example, script a login from SQL 2022 and you run that script on SQL 2025, we will create it with the old algorithm until you do an alter login and, for example, do a change password. Then we're automatically going to use the new version of the algorithm. So it's completely transparent for the customers, but under the covers, it is a much stronger algorithm. So
Awesome.
yeah.
Cool. Anything else in the crypto space?
Yeah, what we've also done is we support TDS 8.0, or which is embedded in TLS 1.3 in SQL Server. Well, actually, we already supported that in SQL Server 2022. So you were able to add an extra parameter in your connection string, which is called the strict connection encryption type, which means at that point you are using TDS 8.0, right? Which makes it much more safer to connect, right? To use that, you also had to upgrade your drivers to make sure that you can use that strict encryption. Now, the problem with SQL Server 2022 was that all our internal features and tooling were not using these strict encryption connections. So, like always-on availability group, replication, SQL command, even SQL Server agent. We're not using that strict encryption connection. Our goal is in SQL Server 2025 to have all these features and tools to use these strict encryption connection. We're working on that. So there are currently a bunch of these functionalities already available in public preview, but they will trickle down when new versions will come up, right? Will you as a customer will notice this? No, but we know internally that we're forcing strict encryption. Again, much more secure here.
Awesome. Great to see that.
And then there's one last thing which is not related to crypto, but it's a security cache improvement that we've made. So every single time when you uh, log in into SQL, what we're doing, well, if you log in for the first time, we're caching all your login information. So your SID, your permissions, so everything is stored in the security cache, right? Now, the security cache can be invalidated. For example, if you create a new login, or if you drop a login, or if you change permissions on the login, every single time when you do this, we're going to invalidate the security cache completely, right? Which means, like, if you have like thousands of connections, we need to rebuild the cache completely from scratch for all these existing connections, which means you could end up with some high performance impact, because we need to rebuild the cache completely from scratch, right? This is a known issue for years, and we finally addressed that in SQL Server 2025. So what we've done is, instead of invalidating the whole security cache, we're just invalidating the cache for the single login, for the specified login. So it means that if you change a permission for login one, then all the other logins that you have on your SQL Server, they will not be affected at all. We're just invalidating the cache for for that specific login. It currently applies to the commands create and drop logins, and before we go GA, we will also have the alter login scenarios will be included. On top of that, we also it also applies to permission changes for individual logins. What we currently don't support is group logins. So if you have group logins on your SQL instance, you will continue to experience the server level invalidation, and not yet the login specific. But we're working on that. But unfortunately, we don't have any timelines there. So yeah.
Got it. And from non-security expert over here, trying to understand this update specifically, what this basically means is for me as a user, when people are updating logins, I'm not going to be impacted on my cache, or is it a little bit different? Can you help me understand?
Yeah. So your cache will still exist in the cache, right? Your login cache, but which was not the case previously in the older versions of SQL Server. The whole security cache got invalidated, and that could cause performance issues. So we addressed that by just invalidating only the cache of the login that has changed at that time, create or drop. Yeah.
Seems reasonable to me and seems great for SQL Server 2025. Do customers have to do anything to opt into this, or you just get this in 2025?
No, this is just enabled by default. Yep.
Awesome.
You
Great.
don't need to do anything.
Cool. Okay. Well, Peter, team, thanks so much for coming on. I learned a lot. Thanks for dealing with some of my questions. As we wrap, any kind of final words of advice or messaging on security in SQL Server 2025, Peter?
Um, we're still the most secure platform, and we try to keep on doing that by inserting these kind of new functionalities and new improvements in the newer version of SQL 2025.
Awesome. Great. Well, thanks both of you for coming on the show. Viewers, if you like this episode, go ahead, give it a like, leave us a comment, let us know what you think, what you learned, and what questions you have. And we'll put some links in the description for you to go learn more. But it'd be great if you could just go ahead and download SQL Server 2025 and take a look at some of these things. Although a lot of these things you don't have to do anything, you just get them. And that's the best thing about secure by default. With that being said, we hope to see you next time on Data Exposed.